I was completely blown away when I asked the question. I was curious to know about survival foods, and I talk about that in this video why it's really important because there are many times that people need meal ideas for when they are broke. I mean, like totally broke and like literally waiting for the next paycheck. Let's jump right into it. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Janet. Welcome to the Save Money More with Jan channel. Thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody jumping into it. And by the way, I do hope everybody is doing well. Let's talk about two survival foods that are low cost and definitely very much you should consider purchasing if you are low income and you know watching every penny, but you're also watching the kind of nutrition that you need. Guess what the two items are? Simple: potatoes, and da 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 kale, Kale. Kale is like similar to spinach in flavor, a little slight difference in texture, in my opinion. But the flavor is good. Some people enjoy making kale chips. They bake them up and they get them crispy and all that. But survival foods, okay, never thought of it as survival foods. Interesting. And the reason why potatoes, for example, they're a great source of fiber. Of course, they fill you up. That's the truth. Great source of fiber, loaded with vitamins and minerals, and a great source of iron and potassium. Never thought of that with potatoes. Very, very interesting. And if you're broke and everything, you don't necessarily have oil, you don't necessarily have, all those fats or whatever. You could boil a potato, so you could still cook that potato. You could boil it. So if it's like an extremely, extremely tough time, you don't have those other items, then of course there goes the bird clock. Ugh. Now kale. All right, I'm hearing it loudly. You don't, but it's like banging in my ear. Yes, Bird. Yes, 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 yes. Okay. So kale is kale is rich in minerals and it's also low calorie. But I don't think at that moment when you're extremely like I said, survival extremely, I don't think you're so concerned about the low calorie part, but more concerned about that it's rich in minerals. Kale and potatoes. So please add this if this is something you enjoy eating, okay? Especially to your shopping list. This is like really getting a lot of bang for your buck. Now let's talk more about those times of the month when it's like really, really tough. And a lot of people live paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people are, their pantries are low stocked, whatever. May I suggest during better times of the month when you go grocery shopping, may I suggest getting a couple of cans of all done up soup? Sometimes, okay? Now, I could suggest get a can of mixed vegetables, get a can of tomato sauce, get a can of this, get a can of that to make up the one soup. And that still would be fine. Or you may have all of the above already, and you could throw together a huge pot of soup, and that would be great. Or you have raw vegetables that you could throw together and make a pot of soup. Always, always work with what you have. But you may want to include in your pantry stockpile a couple of cans of all done up things, like let's say from the Progresso. I'm just using that brand name out of a hat. Progresso does, in fact, though, and in truth, make some wonderful soups, and they have everything in it. So you don't have to worry about getting a can of this, getting a can of that. If you happen to have a can of something and you may want to add something to it, or you could throw in a handful of rice, a handful of beans, or a handful of small pasta. That makes a ton of sense. You see, it goes with the pre planning. If you know month in and month out that your paycheck is of a certain date or a certain time, pre planning. Look at your calendar. Sometimes people need a calendar in front of them. There's a good reason, right? But if you know that last week of the month, it's that last week of the month, or e.g., before payday, when your main source of income comes in, that could be extremely challenging for the low income individual and, of course, low income families. Okay. That's why it's really important when times are better. Let's say I'm just using this as an example, that you get your main source of income for grocery shopping at the beginning of the month. Lots of pre-planning. What should I include in my grocery stockpile for, especially to bridge till the next time you get your source of income? That final week of the month. Always plan. If you have extra food that you cooked in the beginning of the month, no matter how small, put it away and wrap in the freezer. Get, even if it's a small container of whatever, put those extra scraps of chicken, beef, pork from a roast, put it away. If you didn't finish your vegetables that night, that's okay. You were too full, you didn't want it. Put it away. Don't waste it. No, 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 no. I'm like so huge on anti-food waste. It's not even a joke. I dislike it immensely. But that could be fixed right away in the beginning of the month. Okay, so put things away that you could always create a casserole at the end of the month. You could always create a soup or a stew. There's always ways. Never ever have a situation. I pray and I pray hard that no one ever has a situation where they just don't have enough food to eat. It breaks my heart. It really does. But there are things that we could do. See, this is where we are the CEOs of our kitchen, right? I'm just saying. So that's why in the beginning of the month, take control and harness it. But to know that kale and potatoes are a very good source of survival food, that's really so. Please make a note of it, especially if you do enjoy it. I personally like spinach, and at first I couldn't get used to the flavor of canned spinach. When I first tried, I was like, "Whoa!" Like really took a little bit for me. But then as time went on, I did get used to it, and I flavor it up, and it really works well. It dips. The canned one is like really mushy enough for a dip. The way I prefer spinach, not necessarily like a pile of it sitting on a plate, maybe hiding in a sandwich or something like that. The fresh one. But I'll tell you, the fresh frozen spinach is a fantastic deal. So I would imagine that spinach is so similar to kale. I'm wondering. I don't know for a fact. I didn't check it. That's something maybe you might be interested in. If kale is not for you, maybe frozen spinach might be for you, or the canned spinach may be for you. But either way, those two items. How about bananas? So here's another suggestion to keep. Get these things in the beginning of the month. Be sure to include a can of mixed veggies. Mixed veggies, you can't go wrong. Um, get the all inclusion soups, like I just mentioned. Don't forget to pick up canned pork, beef, tuna. Don't forget the power of chickpeas. You can make a chickpea salad, make your own hummus if you want. My version is not quite like the real version, but I don't mind processing some chickpeas from the can, drained, of course. Add a little bit of Italian dressing. The two things, period. It's it. Just like that. You might decide to include some garlic in there. I didn't think of that until right this minute. But something you could consider including. I'm just saying. For tough times, carrot soup. You got carrots laying around the fridge, whether they're canned or whether they're fresh. Fresh makes a great carrot soup. If you have bouillon cubes, which, by the way, I didn't mention, buy bouillon cubes. Chicken bouillon cubes are great. Don't ever throw away those ramen noodle, those little square packages of the flavorings. Oh, no, no. You'd be shocked and amazed at how many recipes you could put those in. I'm telling you, it's crazy. So, anyway, I just ordered, I saw a great sale recently on ramen noodles. They're 24 packs for $7. Was well, 7.29 to be precise. But I said, "Huh, I'm grabbing that one." Boom. That's going right in the stockpile. You could do a lot of things with ramen noodles. There are videos on this platform. So anybody struggling, you're trying to get creative and still want to give your family nutrition until you get that paycheck. You see where I'm going with this? Check out the many, many recipe ideas that you can find. You absolutely can find right here on this platform. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate everybody's time. Let us know and share your suggestions for like those struggle times right before paycheck time, and your inventory is low and your stockpile, you're looking for good nutrition, and you see where I'm going with this. Wishing everybody an amazing upcoming weekend. Take good care of yourself. Don't forget to click like, like, share, and consider subscribing or just subscribe.